Amelia stood frozen as the massive alien vessel descended from the clouds above her small Montana ranch. The ground trembled beneath her boots and her horses whinnied in terror, racing back toward the stables. She should have run too, but something kept her rooted to the spot as the sleek purple ship hovered just 50 feet above her wheat field. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built, curved like a teardrop with strange symbols etched into its hull that seemed to shift and change. As she watched, a beam of violet light suddenly shot down, enveloping Amelia in its glow. Her skin tingled, and before she could even draw breath to scream, she found herself standing in a vast chamber with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. 4 tall figures surrounded her. Their skin shimmered with iridescent scales in shades of blue and green. They stood at least 7 feet tall with slender limbs and elongated necks. Their faces were almost human, but with large almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light. The tallest one stepped forward wearing elaborate armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Her eyes were the color of amber, and her head was adorned with what looked like a crown of floating crystals. "I am High Commander Nylara of the Zathari Empire. We have been observing your planet for some time, human, and you have been chosen for what?" Amelia asked, her voice, barely a whisper, "for the royal selection." The commander gestured to a view screen that materialized in the air, showing images of Earth. "From billions of sentient beings, you possess the genetic markers we seek." Before Amelia could respond, another alien entered the chamber. This one moved with graceful steps, her scales a deep violet with gold patterns that seemed to pulse with her movements. Her eyes were a striking silver, and the other aliens immediately bowed their heads. "Princess Lyria. This is the human specimen we discussed." The commander spoke with reverence. The princess approached Amelia, studying her with those mesmerizing silver eyes. She reached out one 6-fingered hand and gently touched Amelia's cheek. The human woman felt a strange electric sensation at the contact. "She is perfect." The princess spoke, her voice melodic, almost like singing. "The genetic compatibility is optimal and her mind strong yet adaptable. I claim her as my chosen." Amelia took a step back. "Wait. What exactly am I chosen for?" The princess smiled, revealing teeth like small pearls. "You are to be my consort human. The genetic future of our royal line depends on new blood. Our species faces extinction without suitable genetic diversity. You will help save my people over the next several weeks." Amelia learned more about the Zathari. Their vast empire spanned 3 galaxies, but they were facing a crisis. Their royal bloodline carried a genetic flaw that was causing fertility rates to plummet. They had searched thousands of worlds for compatible species, and humans were among the few that could potentially help them. Princess Lyria spent hours with Amelia each day, teaching her about Zathari culture, technology, and language. The princess was brilliant and surprisingly kind. Despite her royal status, Amelia found herself enjoying their conversations and marveling at the wonders of the ship. At night, she was returned to luxurious quarters with simulated Earth environments and foods from home. But the doors remained locked. She was still a prisoner, no matter how gilded her cage. One evening, as they watched the stars from the ship's observation deck, Lyria moved closer to Amelia. "Your adaptability is remarkable," the princess said. "Your species evolved on a single planet. Yet you understand concepts that took my people millennia to grasp." Amelia smiled. "We humans are pretty resourceful. When do I get to go home, though? My family, my friends, they must think I'm dead." Lyria's expression changed, her silver eyes narrowing. "You misunderstand, Amelia. You cannot return to Earth. You are now part of the royal household. Your genetic material is too valuable." Anger flashed through Amelia. "So I'm just breeding stock to you, is that it?" The princess flinched as if struck. "I'm offering you eternity, Amelia. Our medical technology can extend your life by centuries. You would want for nothing be revered throughout the empire. What I want is freedom," Amelia said firmly. That night, Amelia managed to slip past the guards using techniques she'd observed from watching them enter access codes. She made her way to a shuttle bay and found a small craft that seemed simple enough to pilot. Her time watching Lyria operate Zathari technology was paying off. just as she prepared to launch the craft. The doors slid open and Princess Lyria entered alone. Her silver eyes were wide with what looked like hurt. "You would leave me?" Lyria asked, her voice soft. Amelia felt a pang of guilt but stood her ground. "I have a life, Lyria. People who love me. I can't just disappear." The princess approached slowly. "I have grown to care for you, Amelia. Not just for your genetic potential, but for your spirit, your mind, your heart. In 3 centuries, I have never met anyone like you." She reached out, taking Amelia's hands in hers. "Our scientists were wrong. It is not just your genetics that are compatible with ours, it is you, your essence, your humanity. This is why the Empire has failed in previous attempts. We took without understanding. The power of choice." Lyria released Amelia's hands and stepped back. "I will return you to Earth. If that is truly your wish, I cannot force you to save my people." Amelia stared at the alien princess, seeing genuine emotion in those silver eyes. She thought about everything she'd learned about the Zethari, their art, their philosophy, their struggles. The Empire was vast but aging. Their creativity was waning. They needed more than just human DNA, they needed human spirit. "What if I stayed but not as a prisoner?" Amelia suggested. "What if I became an ambassador instead of just taking humans? What if we established a cultural exchange?" There must be others who would volunteer if they understood what was at stake. Lyria's eyes widened. An alliance freely chosen rather than forced. The council would never have considered such a thing, but you are right. This could save us in ways we never imagined. 6 months later, Amelia stood before the Zethari High Council with Princess Lyria at her side. The first human embassy to the stars was officially established. Volunteers from Earth were arriving through properly negotiated channels, offering genetic diversity in exchange for technology and knowledge. The Grand Council chamber glittered with crystal formations that seemed to grow from the floor and ceiling. The 7 Elder Zethari sat on floating platforms, their scales dulled with age, but their eyes still sharp and calculating. High Elder Zorax, the eldest of the council, leaned forward, studying Amelia with critical eyes. "This human speaks of cooperation, but how can we trust her kind? Their planet is fractured with constant wars and environmental destruction." Amelia stepped forward, standing tall, despite being the shortest person in the room. "Those problems exist because we lack unity and advanced technology. With your help, we could solve our planetary issues, and in return, human creativity and adaptability could breathe new life into your empire." The council members whispered among themselves. Their language was too complex for Amelia's translator to catch, but Princess Lyria stood beside her, a supportive hand on her shoulder. "We have watched your species for centuries." Another elder said her scales were a pale blue, almost white with age. "You humans are violent, unpredictable, but also capable of remarkable compassion and innovation. Your art, your music, they speak to something we have lost. I propose a trial period." Elder Zorax said, "A single human colony on one of our outer worlds. If it succeeds, we will consider wider contact." Amelia looked at Lyria, who nodded encouragingly. "That would be acceptable," she said, "but I want to return to Earth first, to select the colonists personally, and to say goodbye to my family." The council agreed, and 2 weeks later Amelia found herself back on her Montana ranch, staring at her small wooden house, which seemed primitive after months on the Zethari ship. Her dogs ran to greet her, barking excitedly. Her father stepped onto the porch, his face a mask of shock. "Lisa." Amelia called, using her father's nickname for her, him home. Her family thought she had been kidnapped. Search parties had combed the mountains for weeks. The FBI had investigated. Her face had been on national news. They hugged her, cried, asked questions she couldn't fully answer. That night, Amelia sat on her porch looking up at the stars, knowing that somewhere up there, Princess Lyria was waiting. She had 3 days to say her goodbyes and select 20 humans to join the first colony. How could she explain to her family that she was leaving again? This time by choice. Her father joined her on the porch, handing her a cup of coffee. He sat in his rocking chair, the one he'd carved himself the year before her mother died. You aren't staying, are you? He asked quietly. Amelia looked at him surprised. How did you know? He smiled, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening. I've known you since you were born, kiddo. You have that same look your mother had when she decided to climb Everest. That hunger for something more. I have a chance to make a difference, Dad. A real difference. Not just for us, but for another civilization. They need our help. Her father nodded slowly. The government men who came, asking questions. They said there were lights in the sky the night you disappeared. Lights that didn't move like any aircraft they'd ever seen. I didn't believe in aliens before, but I do now. Is that where you've been with them? Amelia took a deep breath and told him everything about the Zathari, their dying bloodline, Princess Lyria, the proposed colony, the exchange of genetics and technology. He listened without interrupting, his weathered face thoughtful. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, You care about this princess, don't you? Amelia felt her face flush. Yes, I do. She showed me wonders, Dad. Things I never imagined. And she's fighting to save her people even though the old ways would be easier. Her father reached over and squeezed her hand. Then you go. You make your mother and me proud. Show those aliens what humans are really made of. And maybe bring your old dad a souvenir from another galaxy. Tears filled Amelia's eyes. Thanks, Dad. The next day she began making discreet calls to people she trusted. Brilliant minds, open hearts. People who might embrace a new life among the stars. A botanist from her college days. A linguist who had published controversial theories about non-human communication. A doctor who had pioneered genetic treatments. A structural engineer with innovative designs. An artist whose work captured the essence of humanity. By the third day, she had her 20 volunteers all sworn to secrecy until the official announcement would be made. They gathered at her ranch that night and gasped in awe as the Zathari shuttle descended from the clouds. Princess Lyria emerged, her violet scales gleaming in the moonlight. The humans stared, some in fear, others in wonder. Amelia stepped forward. Taking the princess' hand, This is Princess Lyria, heir to the Zathari Empire, and these are the first human ambassadors to the stars. No one noticed the small drone hovering in the darkness, recording everything. The footage spread across the internet like wildfire. Aliens are real became the headline on every news site. Government officials scrambled to respond. Military units were dispatched to Montana. But by then, Amelia and her volunteers were already halfway to the Zathari homeworld. The grand mothership hummed with energy as it traveled through what Lyria called the void space, a dimension that allowed them to cross vast distances in days rather than centuries. Amelia stood on the observation deck with Lyria, watching the strange colors of the void swirl outside. This was not how I planned our first contact, the princess said, her silver eyes troubled. Your government leaders are sending messages demanding your return. They speak of kidnapping and threats of war. Amelia sighed. I knew this might happen. Humans fear what we don't understand, but once they see the benefits of our alliance, they'll come around. The technology you're offering could solve our energy crisis, end diseases, reverse climate damage. Lyria touched her arm gently. I hope you are right. My council is nervous. Some suggest we should abandon the project and find another species to help us, one less volatile. Never, Amelia said firmly. We need this as much as you do, maybe more. Give them time. A week later, they arrived at Zathara, the Zathari homeworld. It orbited a binary star system, one blue, one golden, creating a perpetual twilight across the planet's surface. The humans gasped as they saw the capital city for the first time. Massive crystal towers rose miles into the sky, connected by bridges that seemed to be made of light. The architecture was organic, flowing like frozen water. The colony site was on a small continent in the southern hemisphere, a lush valley surrounded by mountains with 3 moons visible in the daytime sky. The Zathari had constructed habitation domes designed to mimic Earth atmosphere and gravity. The human scientists immediately began setting up their equipment, taking samples, analyzing the alien environment. Amelia watched with pride as they adapted to their new home with enthusiasm and courage. Kate the botanist approached her, holding a plant with leaves that seemed to shimmer and change color. "The soil composition here is amazing," she said excitedly. "These plants have cellular structures unlike anything on Earth, but they perform photosynthesis 20 times more efficiently. I think we could adapt some of these for Earth agriculture." Similar breakthroughs happen daily. The doctor discovered principles in Zathari medicine that could revolutionize human genetics. The engineer was fascinated by their building materials that responded to thought. The artist collaborated with Zathari creators to make installations that spoke to both species. Amelia spent most of her time with Princess Lyria, learning about Zathari politics and history, helping to bridge the cultural gap. Each evening they would walk along the crystal shores of a nearby lake, watching the 3 moons rise. Their conversations ranged from philosophy to personal stories to plans for the future. One evening, as they sat watching the dual sunset, Lyria took Amelia's hand. "Our scientists have confirmed that your genetic material is compatible with ours. They can create embryos that combine both species. The royal line could continue." Amelia looked at their joined hands, so different, yet somehow fitting together. "And is that all you want from me?" "To save your bloodline." Lyria turned to face her. "No, Amelia, that was why we sought humans. But it is not why I seek you. I have lived 3 centuries and never found a companion who challenges me, who sees the universe with such fresh eyes, who makes me question traditions that have stood for millennia. You have changed me, and I believe I am falling in love with you." The confession hung in the air between them. Amelia felt her heart racing. She had grown to care deeply for the princess, but love, that was unexpected, yet somehow it felt right. Before she could respond, an alarm blared throughout the colony. A Zathari guard rushed toward them. Princess vessels approaching fast. They bear Earth military markings. Lyria stood immediately, her scales darkening with concern. How did they find us so quickly? The human colony was in chaos as everyone gathered in the central dome. The screens showed 5 Earth ships smaller than the Zathari vessels but heavily armed. They had somehow followed the mothership through Void's space patrol. Commander Nilara entered, her armor glinting. "Your Earth governments demand the return of all humans. They claim you were taken against your will. They threaten attack if we refuse." Kate stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. We all came voluntarily. We signed documents to that effect." The commander shook her head. "They believe the documents were forced. They say Princess Lyria has bewitched you all, particularly Amelia." All eyes turned to Amelia, who stood beside Lyria, their hands still joined. "This is absurd," she said. "We need to open communication channels. Let me speak to them." The Earthships positioned themselves in orbit around the colony. Their weapon systems were active, clearly visible even from the ground. Amelia was escorted to the communication center, where a familiar face appeared on the screen. Admiral Kelly Carson, her mother's cousin from her days in the Navy. Amelia, Kelly said, "We need to talk." The Admiral looked older than Amelia, remembered her face stern. "Are you being coerced?" Amelia blinked twice. "If you can't speak freely." Amelia almost laughed. "Kelly, I am here by choice. We all are. These people need our help and we're getting incredible knowledge in return. Tell the Joint Chiefs to stand down." The Admiral leaned forward, her voice lowered. "We detected a biological agent in the atmosphere of that colony. Something that's altering your brain chemistry, making you compliant. Our scientists analyzed the footage from Montana. They say the aliens release pheromones that affect human judgment. We're here to bring you home for treatment." Amelia turned to Lyria in shock. "Is this true?" The princess looked genuinely confused. "No, Amelia. There is nothing in our biology that would affect humans this way. We cannot even share the same food without special processing." "Who provided this analysis?" Amelia asked. Turning back to the screen, GenCorp Labs, the Admiral replied. Amelia felt a chill. GenCorp. The same company that had been buying up land near her ranch for years. The same corporation that had tried to pressure her father into selling. Just before her abduction, their representatives had visited again, offering triple the market value. She had refused. "This isn't about alien pheromones," Amelia said slowly. "This is about what we're learning here. Knowledge that would make GenCorp technology obsolete." The Admiral's expression hardened. "That is a serious accusation, Amelia, but irrelevant. You and the other colonists are coming home. That is a direct order from the President." "I respectfully decline that order," Amelia said firmly. "We are not military personnel. We are private citizens who have chosen to participate in a cultural exchange. Tell the President, we will be happy to share all our discoveries with Earth, but we will not abandon our mission." The Admiral scowled. "This is your final warning, Amelia. If you do not comply, we will be forced to take action." The communication ended abruptly. Amelia turned to Princess Lyria. "They won't actually attack, will they?" The princess looked troubled. "I do not know. We have vastly superior technology, but your species has shown remarkable ingenuity when cornered, and we cannot risk harming humans, the very species we hoped would save us." They returned to the colony dome where the other humans waited anxiously. Amelia explained the situation. Kate the botanist spoke first. "Those GenCorp vultures, they just want our research. They can stand that someone else might solve Earth's problems before they can patent the solutions." The engineer Diane nodded. "They threatened my lab last year when I developed a new energy storage system, said it violated patents they hadn't even filed. Yet one by one, the colonists shared similar stories of corporate pressure, scientific sabotage, and threats. Their research had always pushed boundaries, challenged the status quo. Now it made sense why they had all been willing to leave Earth so readily. We need to send a message," Amelia said. "Not just to the military, but to everyone on Earth, the truth about why we're here, what we're learning, how it could help humanity." Kate raised her hand. "I might have a solution. My brother works at the European Space Agency. They maintain independent communication satellites. I can send him our data. The Zathari technology can bypass standard encryption." The next hours were a flurry of activity. The colonists compiled their research findings, created video testimonials, and prepared a data package. Meanwhile, the Earth vessels moved closer to the planet Zathari. Defense ships took position, forming a protective barrier around the colony. Princess Lyria summoned Amelia to the royal chambers. "I must show you something," she said. Her voice was solemn as she led Amelia through corridors she'd never seen before. They descended deep beneath the surface of the planet until they reached a vast cavern. Thousands of crystal pods lined the walls. Each contained a Zathari in suspended animation. Most appeared young, their scales still vibrant, but they floated unmoving in a clear fluid. "What is this place?" Amelia asked, her voice hushed. "Our future," Lyria replied. "These are the last children born to the royal lineage. All carry the genetic flaw. Some will never wake. Others will live brief, painful lives. We have tried for centuries to repair the damage, but our genetic diversity is too limited. We became too focused on purity of bloodlines. Our civilization has existed for 50,000 years, Amelia. We have created wonders, traveled between galaxies. But we forgot the most basic principle of life: adaptation change." Growth. Amelia walked among the pods, her heart breaking at the sight of so many lives in limbo. "This is why you need humans. Our genetic diversity." "Yes," Lyria said. "But we need more than your genetics. We need your spirit, your willingness to challenge, to question, to rebel. Our society has become rigid, hierarchical. We enforce conformity above all. That is truly what is killing us." A guard rushed into the chamber. "Princess, the Earth ships, they have fired on our defense perimeter." They hurried back to the surface. The screen showed chaos in orbit. Earth missiles had struck Zathari shields, the explosions creating bursts of light against the darkness of space. "Stop this madness," Amelia shouted. "Patch me through to Admiral Carson." The Admiral's face appeared on screen, looking grim. "We detected weapons powering up on the alien vessels. We took preemptive action." "Those were defensive shields," Amelia said. "The Zathari have no intention of attacking Earth. They could have destroyed your ships 100 times over if they wanted to. As if to prove her point, the Zathari ships remained in defensive formation, absorbing the impacts without returning. Fire. Listen to me, Kelly Amelia continued. We have sent our research findings to independent scientists across Earth. The Zathari technology can help solve our energy crisis, reverse climate change, cure diseases. What GenCorp fears is that their profits will vanish when people realize there are better solutions that can't be controlled by a single corporation. The Admiral hesitated. Her eyes flicked to someone off-screen. Stop firing, she ordered. Suddenly, I just received word from the Joint Chiefs. The European Space Agency has confirmed. Receiving your data package. The President wants to open direct negotiations. Relief flooded through Amelia. She looked at Lyria, whose scales had lightened back to their normal violet hue. Tell the President we welcome dialogue, she said. The Princess nodded in agreement. Over the next days, tension slowly eased. A diplomatic vessel arrived carrying representatives from the United Nations. They toured the colony, examined the research, and met with Zathari leaders. When they saw the chamber of sleeping children, they finally understood the urgency of the alliance. Kate discovered that certain Earth plants could be genetically modified to produce compounds that might help treat the Zathari genetic condition. The engineer found ways to adapt Zathari crystal technology for Earth manufacturing. The doctor began preliminary work on genetic therapies that could benefit both species. Amelia and Princess Lyria led the negotiations, establishing protocols for ongoing exchange of knowledge and people. The first official human embassy to an alien civilization was formally recognized. Earth would send scientists, artists, engineers. The Zathari would share technology, medicine, cultural wisdom. One evening, as they watched the triple moon rise from the crystal shores, Lyria turned to Amelia. The Council has asked me to take a consort to continue the royal line, she said. But I will only accept one person. She knelt before Amelia, holding out a crystal that pulsed with inner light. Will you join your life with mine, become not just an ambassador between our worlds, but my partner, my equal in all things? Amelia took the crystal, feeling it warm to her touch. I will, she said. But I have conditions. Lyria smiled, her silver eyes shining. Name them. I want to visit Earth regularly. My father isn't getting any younger, and I want him to see where I live, what I'm doing. Of course, Lyria said, and I want our children, whether biological or adopted, to know both worlds, both cultures, to be bridges, not barriers. The princess nodded. The first of a new kind of Zathari human hybrids in both blood and spirit, and I want to continue leading the human colony, not as a princess, but as myself, an equal partner in our alliance. Lyria stood, taking Amelia's hands. You ask. Exactly what I would give freely. Your independence, your connection to your home, your leadership. These are the qualities that drew me to you. I would never ask you to surrender them. The crystal between them pulsed brighter, responding to their emotions. In that moment, under the light of 3 alien moons, Amelia knew she had found her place in the universe. Not as a captive or a savior, but as a bridge between worlds. 5 years passed in what seemed like a blink. The human colony had grown to over 200 people. A small city had formed beside the original domes, with architecture that blended Earth styles with Zathari crystal technology. The first human Zathari baby had been born, a girl with faint violet scales along her spine and eyes that shifted between brown and silver. She was celebrated across 2 worlds as a symbol of hope. Amelia stood on the balcony of the royal tower, watching shuttles arrive from Earth, bringing new colonists, supplies, and visitors. The diplomatic crisis had transformed into the greatest adventure in human history. Schools on Earth now taught Zathari language and history. Hospitals used adapted alien technology to treat previously incurable diseases. Farms utilized modified alien plants to grow food in previously barren regions. Lyria joined her, wrapping an arm around her waist. The High Council meeting went well, she said. They have approved the expansion of the human zones on 3 more Zathari worlds. Amelia smiled, leaning into her partner's embrace. I still can't believe how much has changed. When you first brought me here, I thought I was just genetic material to you. Now look at us. Lyria laughed, a sound she'd learned from humans. The council elders still grumble about how I upended thousand-year-old traditions, but they cannot argue with the results. Our birth rates have increased, our genetic issues are being addressed, and we have gained something, even more valuable. New perspectives, innovation, change. A small child ran onto the balcony, her movements graceful beyond her years. Mama, Mom, she called, using the different terms for her two mothers. Look what I made. She held up a crystal sculpture, crude but recognizably a horse. Her small hands had managed to shape the living crystal, a skill that took most Zathari decades to master. That's beautiful, Ilara, Amelia said, kneeling to examine her daughter's creation. Your grandfather will love it. We're visiting him next week, remember? The child nodded excitedly, bouncing on her toes. Will he show me the real horses again? Of course, Lyria said. And perhaps this time you can ride one if you promise to be careful. The child ran off again, her laughter echoing through the crystal halls. Amelia watched her go, marveling at how perfectly she embodied both species. The best of both worlds, as her father liked to say. Speaking of your father, Lyria said, the medical treatments are working well. The Zathari regeneration therapy has added at least 30 years to his life expectancy. He could live to see his granddaughter grow to adulthood. Amelia felt tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Dad tries to pretend he isn't impressed by alien technology, but I saw his face when the doctors told him the news chime sounded. Announcing a visitor, Kate entered the royal chambers. Her botanist friend had become the lead scientist of the colony project, and recently a member of the Zathari Science Council, the first human to hold such a position. Sorry to interrupt, she said, but we just received an interesting transmission from the Void space probes. We launched last year. They followed her to the Science Dome, where screens displayed data from the deep space mission. The probes had been exploring the void between galaxies, searching for signs of other civilizations. Look at this energy signature, Kate said, pointing to a pulsing light on the screen. It doesn't match anything in the Zathari database, but it's definitely artificial. Lyria studied the readings with interest. Another civilization. Perhaps one we have not encountered before. The pattern is unlike anything in our records. Kate nodded excitedly. And look at this. They seem to be using the void space in a way completely different from Zathari ships, almost like they're swimming through it rather than cutting across it. Amelia felt a familiar thrill of discovery. The universe was vast, filled with wonders they were only beginning to understand. 5 years ago, she had been a rancher in Montana. Now she stood in an alien palace, married to a princess with a half-alien daughter, discussing contact with a new civilization. What should we do? She asked. Lyria looked at her silver eyes, bright with excitement. What you taught me, Amelia. We reach out, we offer friendship, knowledge exchange. We grow together rather than remain separate. Kate grinned. You'll prepare a message using universal mathematical principles, similar to what we planned for the SETI program on Earth. As Kate left to work on the transmission, Amelia and Lyria returned to the balcony. The 3 moons were rising, creating a spectacular display of light across the crystal city below. Ilara had fallen asleep on a cushioned bench, her small chest rising and falling, her scales shimmering slightly as she dreamed. Lyria took Amelia's hand. Do you ever regret it? She asked quietly. Staying here. Leaving your world behind. Amelia looked at their sleeping daughter, at the city below, at the stars above, at the beautiful alien who had become her partner in all things. I haven't left my world behind, she said. I just helped bring our worlds together. And no, I have never regretted it. Not for a moment. The princess smiled, her scales glowing with emotion in the moonlight. When I first ordered your abduction, I thought I was saving my people. I never imagined you would save me as well. From stagnation, from loneliness, from the weight of 3 centuries of solitude. You humans have a saying that I have come to appreciate. 2 halves of a whole soulmates, Amelia supplied. Yes, Lyria said. The concept did not exist in our language before, but now we have adopted your word, Shalmar. The joining of spirits across the stars. They stood together, watching the moons rise. The next day they would face new challenges. New negotiations with Earth governments. Research into the mysterious signals from the void. New lessons for their daughter, who showed both human curiosity and Zathari patience. But for now, in this moment, they had found peace in a union that spanned galaxies. A small voice came from behind them. Mom, why are you still awake? Ilara asked, rubbing her eyes, her scales flickering with sleepiness. Amelia and Lyria exchanged smiles, just watching the moon's little one. Amelia said, and thinking about how fortunate we are. Lyria added, Ilara yawned. The little girl looked up at the three moons, her eyes wide with wonder. Can I stay up and watch too? Just for a little while. Amelia lifted her daughter so she could see better. Just for a little while, she agreed. The three of them stood together. A family unlike any that had existed before. A bridge between two species, two civilizations, two futures that were now irrevocably intertwined. The distance, the void space probes continued broadcasting their message of friendship to the unknown civilization. A message created by humans and Zathari working together. The signal pulsed through the darkness between galaxies, carrying a simple truth that Amelia had taught the ancient empire. The universe grows through connection, not isolation, through love, not fear, through the courage to reach across the stars and say, we are different, we are the same, we are here. Princess Lyria wrapped her arms around her human partner and their half-Zathari daughter as they watched the moons illuminate the crystal shores. Tomorrow would bring new adventures. But tonight, they were simply a family gazing at the stars, wondering what new wonders awaited them in the vast universe that was now their shared home.